Next, we want to create some monogamy. I know that that's typically a word that isn't used in business, but I like to use it a lot because I feel like especially in the real estate industry and especially with buyers, there is no monogamy. They will go where they get their questions answered the fastest. So what we want to do is provide all of that information or as much as we can to them up front and create that monogamy with My Florida Homes, thus with a My Florida Homes member and agent, and have that monogamy go all the way down the line. I think I'll probably speak for everybody when I say information is key today, and the people who provide consumers with information are the people that consumers will trust. The people who withhold information often create a sense of distrust. So what we want to do is take a look at what's the most important information a real estate consumer would want, deliver that to them in a concise, relevant, accurate way, have that trust built from the get-go, and then be able to deliver more knowledgeable, satisfied clients to your members so those customers actually have a higher sense of confidence about using that agent because look at the online experience where they started. And ultimately, as we walk down this path together, the two products I'm going to show you could easily be integrated as widgets into member websites. And that's something that we have been talking about, Deanna and Jennifer and I, about how to make that dream come true. But when you think about the products I'm showing you, also think about how they can be beneficial to a member on a member's unique website. So lifestyle and content can both be utilized on a member website as well. Now, I started off by saying I had sort of a scale. On the left side was the increase. On the right side was the decrease. So what do we want to decrease for you? Number one, first and foremost, if I could have bolded this and made this in 50 font, I would have. We want to decrease customer reliance on unassociated third-party sites, as well as sites that have unverifiable information. So when they're looking for information about a property and then they want to learn about what restaurants are in the area, what we want to do is eliminate them going out of the fold and going to unverified third-party websites and gathering a whole bunch of data from a whole bunch of unassociated websites. Again, we want to make you the go-to place. We want to eliminate the frustration that customers have when they go to your website and you have links on your website that link to other places where you have no control and no management, and then the client ultimately becomes frustrated with you because you sent them there. We want to eliminate that, and then we want to eliminate the fact that sometimes when they click to links, links have been transferred to other owners, and now they're providing those customers with erroneous or irrelevant information. So we want to eliminate that completely by providing them everything they need in your website and not having them link out. And last is we want to decrease bounce rate, which means when they go to your website and they realize, oh, I don't want to be here because I can't get what I need, and they bounce out, we want to provide them with a wealth of data within that site to decrease the bounce rate. So with that, I'm going to hop right into products. I want to maximize our time. I'm going to start by going through the Lifestyle Search API. So first things first, this is an API. It isn't a widget and it isn't a plug-and-play piece that goes into the website. It's an actual application program interface where the team, your team, would create that unique search experience for the customer, meaning you would get together, take a look at everything that's provided in that API, understand what's most important on a regional level to your clients, and then build an interface that they can relate to and that would make sense for you. So it's not a cookie cutter widget that is slapped into the website. It's really something that's unique to you, and nobody else will have something that looks exactly like that. So that's the most important point that I want to make about the API is that it's something that will be unique to you and can be changed based on your needs. So it's not something that's static and can never be changed. Our API provides 40-plus lifestyle criteria. At the back end of this presentation, which Deanna and Jennifer I'll send to you, I've provided for you all of those listed out with some pretty simple definitions as to what they are, but for the sake of time, I just highlighted a few. The lifestyle criteria that we can provide include statistical data like demographics, employment, and housing, proprietary indexes including scores and rankings, so different components that make areas friendly that are ranked by outside sources. We loop in socially generated content, including ratings and reviews from places like Yelp and great schools. It includes area amenities and points of interest, so you can actually search lifestyle based on restaurants, based on culture, based on art and entertainment. And then lifestyle search related to administrative and social geographic boundaries. So a distance search from an address, a distance search from a location, a socially defined geographic boundary of a neighborhood and the distance to that, same thing. And then with that 40 lifestyle criteria, you can put up to 10 on your page that the client can then search and narrow down their results. And we're going to go through some visuals so this all makes sense. So the client would submit their lifestyle criteria ranked by what's important to them, and we can rank it in a slider. We can rank it in a drop-down menu. Again, I'll show you some visuals. And then our API would return a list of areas that best match with them. And from that point, when they see different neighborhoods or different areas or different cities that meet their lifestyle requirements, we can do a couple of things. We can go right into a listing search within that area and have all properties that are available in that area appear. We can enable them to drill down to more specific neighborhood details like school information, points of interest, brief overview of the community. We can pop into an area boundaries map and show them what that looks like in relation to other areas. Or we can show them a big heat map that shows them, okay, the location that you looked at, which matches your lifestyle criteria the best, looks like this when compared to other ones related to how many listings are available. So having that in an API enables us to hook it to a lot of other information and a lot of other variables, which give the customer a very rich experience. How can this be used? Well, obviously you can layer it with other search types. So you can layer this on top of a listing search, which means that it can talk to and relate to a listing search in a clean, efficient way. Client can search their lifestyle needs, and then right from there, the properties that match those lifestyle needs within those areas can be connected to that. So it's not two separate actions for the customer. Again, you're creating the interface. This isn't a cookie cutter widget. You all sit together and determine based on those 40 criteria what's most important to you. You work really closely with a team of exceptional developers that do this every day and can help guide you in some of that. And then we'll work with you one-on-one really closely until implementation time. It's easily integrated with your IDX results or can be displayed on an interactive map. Again, can be provided with all of that detailed neighborhood information that Onboard is known for providing. And you can do that alone or you can do that at the listing level. And then one thing that I think was really important to add into this based on your website and how neighborhood friendly that website is, you can actually create lifestyle landing pages which are geared towards specific consumer sets. And the reason why I put this is because I think that Florida is one of those states where it's a huge state, and you will have this data for the entire state of Florida. And there's a lot of different lifestyles that can be accommodated in Florida. I mean, if you take a look at the differences between like a Fort Myers Beach area, an Orlando area, and a Miami area, those are three very distinctly different lifestyles. And this really gives you the ability to frame out best places that somebody can retire in the state of Florida, best places to raise a family in the state of Florida, best places for first-time home buyers. And this isn't opinion-based data. This is actually data that's coming from statistics that are underneath all of those statements. So you can create these really cool landing pages that educate the client, that hook up to your IDX search. So if a customer clicks on, I want to see the best places to retire, excuse me, right from there they can launch into what listings are available for me in this area that's the best place to retire. So it's very cool, very user-friendly, and allows you to do so much within that API that it's almost like you're building 200% more into that website. A last point I wanted to make on lifestyle before we launch into a visual is I always say foundation dictates outcome when it comes to an API. So the API, if you think about it, is what lays on top of a whole bunch of data. It's actually the little platform that you ask a question to, and then underneath are all of the answers. The data lies in all of the answers. So the way a lifestyle search works really well is when all of that underpinning data is clean, accurate, relevant, timely, is robust. You have a huge data set that you can pull from. So I wanted to let you know in the event that you don't know a whole bunch about Onboard is that we're a data company. It's what we do. We've been doing data for a decade, and it's our core business. The lifestyle search, adding that question on top of the data is a natural derivative. And for those of you that don't know, any best places study that you see out and about, whether it's online or in a magazine, I would say that 99% of any of those studies that start with best places to are all derived from onboard data and onboard APIs. So as an example, I wanted to share with you U.S. News, New York Daily News, CNN Money, Wall Street Journal, those medias, Forbes, Family Circle, those medias all utilize our intelligence and our content to come up with best places to live, best places to retire, best places to go to college. All of those studies come from our data. So I think it speaks a lot to the credibility that we provide in the information. If you have these large national brands that are willing to publish on a million level, millions and millions of publications that are based on our data. In addition, from a real estate perspective, we have over 50 brokers and MLSs nationwide of all sizes that utilize our information. Realogy, Exit Realty, MRIS has used our data and is using our data. Claw uses our data. We just came out with a big announcement today that MRED will be using our product. New Jersey MLS, Real Comp, so there's a host of MLSs across the country that are already using our data. Excuse me. And I've provided with Deanna and Jennifer with some of those resources to contact on their own as well. So I wanted to jump into what's exciting now after I've done so much talking, which is showing you a couple of samples of what a lifestyle search could look like. And what you're going to notice first is that they're all a little bit different, and that's the key about an API is that you can design them based on what you want them to look like on the offset and at the outcome. So this is just one. And what it shows you over here on the left side is here are the measurements that were decided as what the customer would be able to choose from. So fun, hip, and trendy, is that important to me? Not very important or important. If you were to click on this information, this isn't live, it's just a PowerPoint, but if you were to click on this little eye in a circle, it would tell you how fun, hip, and trendy is compiled. And it would give you all the data points that are utilized to compile what is a fun, hip, and trendy neighborhood. And again, this is really important for real estate professionals to recognize that this is not a fair housing violation where we're using subjective data. We have worked with NAR's fair housing attorneys, and they have fully blessed this product as being an objective, customer-driven tool. So you can take a look at fun, hip, and trendy, family-friendly, excellent school systems, and cultural activities. In addition, we can put in, what's the desired median home price, and if we wanted to do commute time to a destination, we could put someone's work address in here, and then click on recommend neighborhoods. So based on this stuff, this is what could be returned. This is obviously New York City. So the number one area that meets this criteria is the Midtown West section of New York. And then it tells you for fun, hip, and trendy, it's 49 out of 100 rating. Family friendly, 82 out of 100, so highly family friendly. Schools, 7 out of 10, so you're in the higher percentile of schools. Cultural activities, 44 out of 100. Median home sales price, almost 800,000, and then commute time. And then it ranks them in order of how well of a match to what the customer wanted. This is another one that's national search that's a little more comprehensive, and I just wanted to share it with you as a visual. So it's interesting because this live, work, and retire. So this actually picks components based on where you want to live, living based on work, and then living for retirement. I only showed you this one, which is find your best place to live. So it says, okay, what are the basics? How much population do you want in the area? What are the median home prices? Do you want to just include areas with low crime rates? Weather, demographics, healthcare. Does it have an America's Best hospital in the area? And then what it will return, again, based on what you checked, it will return in descending order. What are the areas that meet your needs? And then what's really nice is you can actually plug in. So they pick Montgomery Village, Maryland, and then if you click on that, then it gives you a brief tutorial about the area. What's the climate like, geography, cultural attractions, outlines it on a map for you, and then from here you can launch to school information, healthcare information, job information, housing. This is all from that one API, all of it. So this isn't some extra product you have to buy from us. When you buy that lifestyle API, all of this content is baked into the back end of it. Coldwell Banker National recently took our lifestyle implementation and implemented it on their site, and this is another rendition of that. So this is a search return from their implementation that says areas that fit their specific needs, and it's kind of how it's represented on their website. I have this backwards. I apologize. So this is what their measurements look like. I want to select a state, a county within the state, or a metro area. Allows the client to do one or all three. Using their sliders tells the system, what's the most important to them, and then there's that search return. Search results based on what the customer wanted. Gives them the search results and then allows them to modify the search straight from here. Coldwell Banker's lifestyle implementation. What I asked our marketing department to do, and granted, they're in your website, so they really didn't do a whole bunch of jostling stuff around. I just asked them to plug in lifestyle search to see what that could potentially look like on your website. So they plugged in lifestyle search over here. You can see it in the bottom right corner. Click on lifestyle search. Customer clicks on lifestyle search. Here's your basic search. And now what they've done is create a little box where you can put lifestyle search. They did this in drop-down to give you the same feeling that your website has, because your website is more drop-down driven, not slider driven. So I want to pick my median price range. A family-friendly area is important, not at all important, and I need to be close to everyday conveniences. Entertainment, fine dining, and nightlife is, and this would say essential, important, average, not important at all. So customer can pick their specific lifestyle requirements. Now what I want to share with you is there are 4 components here. You can have up to 10 out of the 40 that we offer, and that 40 number is continuously growing based on our data points. So our marketing department just picked 4 really common ones and plugged them in here just for you to see. So based on what the client entered, which was median home price between 2 and 3, family-friendly area, not important. I need to be close to everyday conveniences, absolutely, and entertainment is important to me. Tampa was the #1 place that came up for them. Even though schools and family wasn't important, it really shows them that they have an excellent school system and very family-friendly as well. Fun and hip area, golfer's paradise, and super high on the everyday convenience part with a median price that fits right into their range. Now, if they were to continue to go through here, you could absolutely link up the listings right to there. So from here, you can have click here to look at listings within 33606, and they can click right through there. Or what it could return is, instead of just returning Tampa, it could return the top 10 areas in a very condensed way, and then they can click to expand. So lots of flexibility, and again, just wanted to give you an idea of what this could potentially look like on your website if you implemented it. Okay, so another piece that I mentioned at the beginning, and Jennifer, Deanna, and I are working out some of the details of this, recognizing your unique system. But in addition to providing this API to you, we can provide a fun, neat, clean little widget to you to provide to the member base to plug into their individual websites, regardless of who's hosting, regardless of if it's an internal link or an internal website. Essentially, we can give them this little piece that they can plug in to any of their websites that they have. And this is just a cute visual representation of what that could look like. They would enter here, find your ideal neighborhood. Every single one would look the same, but the agent would then be able to say, not only does my MLS have it on their website, but I have a nice, clean little version of a lifestyle search on my personal website, which can give you a little bit more depth in the home search than what you're typically able to look for. So what we wanted to do was really balance what's available at the MLS level to consumers and then make something similar to that available to the members for consumers. And that's just a visual. I think we'll handle some questions at the end, so I'll just blaze through this. The second part of the presentation is about localized content that's going to live on the website in the form of Neighborhood Navigator. So in addition to having all of this content associated with the lifestyle search and all of this content able to pop up as part of the lifestyle search, there's a key piece here that we have talked about, Deanna and Jennifer and I, which is really building in a lot of context into the website around localized information. Our Neighborhood Navigator is a plug-and-play solution that I would provide to the MLS, and you would take it and plug it into the website wherever you wanted it plugged in, and a host of really cool localized information would appear. So I'm going to take this time to just walk you through the components of that information and some of the key pieces so you can wrap your mind around it. And then if we have some time, we can bounce to a website and take a look at what that looks like live, or you can do that on your own. So I think one of the biggest challenges that we wanted to tackle, me specifically, I have 10 years broker background in a large regional brokerage, worked with over 2,000 agents for 10 years of my life, and I realize how vital it is for them to have school information when they're helping families purchase properties. It's one of the most frequently asked for things and one of the most under-addressed things in our market to have good, clean, fresh school information that's updated frequently that a real estate agent can rely on and use as a first pass to give the customer some information about what they're looking at and then customize it as they go along. So when I looked at your website, it was also the place where I felt so much of your website is a 10. It's a great website, great presence, a lot of stickiness for the client. And if there's one place where I could say needed some work, it was the school piece. And it's an area where we shine from a products perspective, and I think we can add a lot of value to you. So what we'd like to do, one of the data sets within Navigator is our school information. We update that information quarterly. We are not, the best way for me to say this is we're not regurgitators of data. So we don't just pull data from one place and then regurgitate that out to you. We're a data company, so we aggregate from multiple sources to pull together the cleanest data, and then we lay customized algorithms on top of that to develop a really clean, detailed result that's frequently updated. So as a data company, we don't just pull disparate pieces together and then push them back out. We actually do a lot of work on those data sets. And I want to reflect back to one of those slides I showed you at the beginning where we talked about some of our clients, U.S. News, New York Daily News, Wall Street Journal. These customers are customers that we're doing data work for every day. Also, all of the MLSs and brokers that we do provide this information to. But when you're working with data on the level that we work with CNN Money and U.S. News and all of these media houses, data has to be our business. So when we pull it in, we're pulling in from thousands of sources and then scrubbing that data. I think I've told Deanna and Jen once that we have a team of geeks. It's all of us in a team of geeks in New York City, and the sales and marketing team is 4 people, and then the other 40 people in our company are all back-end data people. So our whole company is data people, which can be great, but also for an outgoing person like me can be just a little bit challenging. So school information, most important thing. We update that on a quarterly basis. You get school location and type, address, school type indicators, Latin long for mapping and radius applications. We provide all the NCLB state test scores, any special features and programs and facilities that the school has available, student faculty information, what's the grade span, what's the enrollment by grade, what's the student-teacher ratio, how many college-bound seniors are in the school, any programs or innovative vocational programs. We pull all that data together, and then we also provide all of the key contacts and their contact information for the school. Again, this all happens within your website. You're not linking out to anywhere. So the customer is now able to get all of this on your website. You don't have to manage that data. We manage all of that data. Within the Navigator product, it's all automatically updated. There's no action you need to take, no action agents need to take, no action the tech department has to take. We deal with that on our end, and it's fed through the pipe. So it's all clean, updated quarterly. We're also the exclusive provider in the real estate industry for Great Schools content. Great Schools is an independent, non-for-profit rating and review source. It's sort of like the Yelp for schools. There's over 400,000 school reviews and ratings, 62,000 parent ratings. They're on an average of about 5,000 to 6,000 updates per month. We do neighborhood and zip aggregated ratings, which we provide. That's not provided by Great Schools. And then from a detail perspective, information is provided by each school and district. We augment that through a number of private industry sources. We telephone verify every single school and all of their information at least once per year, and then do quarterly gross database updates. So my team in New York City actually calls every single one of those schools and verifies every single data point with them annually. And the Great Schools data is updated very often, sometimes as often as every other week, so semi-monthly. Now what I did here, just to give you a visual, is I replaced what you currently have in your school page with what would happen if a customer now went to that home page and clicked on Hillsborough County, Florida. Page is cut off, but I think this will give you a really good idea. If they clicked on Hillsborough County, what would happen now is they would get this nice, neat report that shows them public elementary school, public middle school, public high school, and then it would go through all the privates and parochials that are tracked. And then each one of these blue components here could be clicked on. So if if they wanted to see the full list because there's more than 25 schools, they would click on there and then get a list of 25 schools or 30 schools, however many there are. And then they would be able to click on each one of these schools, see that school on a map, see that school as it relates to the middle of the city, and read all of that information that I just told you about every single one of these schools. So all of the test scores grade by grade, those test scores ranked up against the district scores, and they would be able to find out that detailed information about every single school in the county without ever leaving your website. That's the school component. It's a lot of information, and I know I'm giving you a lot of information, but it's really relevant. There's two more pieces. Second is points of interest. I think all of us being in the real estate profession have seen how important it has been. I think, years ago people used to buy a property for maybe the school, but now things like distance to restaurants, distance to culture, distance to a Starbucks, excuse me, it's allergy season here in Sacramento, and my allergies are on at like a 10 today. Points of interest and the lifestyle and all of the components around that lifestyle have become so important to people that being able to show them a property and then all of the color around that property is really, really important. And that's exactly what our points of interest component does. We have more than 5 million businesses across the country spanning 20 categories and 120 lines of business. So everything from automotive to retail to spas to Starbucks to restaurants to art galleries to parks and recreation, churches, everything you can imagine, all loaded in, ready for a customer to click on and say, I want to learn about this house. They click on that house, I want to learn about points of interest, and then have all of that stuff populate on a map. We update this information monthly, and one thing that I really want to stress to you, and we work with a lot of MLSs who use our point of interest data. Oftentimes an agent or a member will call up and say, my sister owns this spa and it's currently not in your amenities, your point of interest piece on the website. You'll have a single point of contact at Onboard. You can just contact that person on the fly, shoot them an email. It opens a case, and then we work with our data providers to make sure that the next push, that information is included. In the same respect, the economy being what it is, businesses are closing. So if there are businesses that you see that are closing and it's before an update time or you haven't seen it update, just contact the Onboard single point of contact, and in the next release, that business will be gone once it's verified. So we have to do the verification, which takes a little bit of time to make sure that the data is correct. The best way for me to explain points of interest is it's only as accurate as who's registering their business. So if somebody closes their business and that's not being tracked on a county level or a city level, then we can't be advised of that. If somebody opens a business and that business isn't registered in the areas that we track, or maybe it's, excuse me, maybe it's 29 days into our change, we won't get that until the next revision. So I always look at points of interest as a dynamic component. I can never say it's 100% accurate, but it's as accurate as it can possibly be given the variables that we're working with. And we also provide you with that single point of contact in the event that you find a discrepancy, that we can resolve that immediately for you. Neighborhood boundaries. This is something that's very interesting. It's something that Onboard does independently. We don't hire a firm to do it. We actually have developed our own set of neighborhood boundaries that span more than 75,000 on a national level. We've gathered and aggregated data from a bunch of local and regional sources, and now we have this 75,000 plus database of culturally defined neighborhood boundaries, which are beneath zip and census tract. So this is, let's say, I don't know what some neighborhoods in Florida would be called, but in New York City they have NoHo, Soho, the financial district. These neighborhoods, Park Slope, they may be comprised of 7 different zip codes, but only 10% of each one of those zip codes in a very strange, non-circular pattern that just defines what the people around there have called a neighborhood. It's not tracked anywhere, but we as real estate professionals know that that's a neighborhood. These are the types of things that we track, and this is what we make available to you, these neighborhood boundaries. Again, I put that boundaries are dynamic and ever-changing. If we can't pull something from an existing objective data set, it's dynamic. So one of the owners of our company, John, he'll always say, the neighborhood I live in, Park Slope, in the last year has expanded by 3 miles to the west, 7 miles to the east, and now includes 2 zip codes that it didn't. Neighborhoods are constantly changing based on what the customer defines. So we go in there repetitively and make those changes. And we work with our clients in each market to make sure that we're as accurate as we possibly can be with something that's such a dynamic animal. Last is community information. Last component that I'm going to talk about, and this is really the flavor of an area. This is population demographics, educational attainment, how many people in the household, what's the economic look about the area, crime rates, employment, housing, weather. It's all of those very statistically oriented components that define what a neighborhood is like around a listing. If you think about census data, I want you to think about the type of data that's included in a census. We provide over 200 fields and data points about a community. The census is one product that we use, but we use a number of regional, local, and national products available to us to create something that's hyper-local and hyper-accurate, and we update that on an annual basis. So you'll never be stuck with, you're 6 years into the census and you're getting 6-year-old data. We update the entire component. All 200 fields are updated every single year. I mentioned at the beginning, this is a plug-it-in-and-go system, simple yet customizable implementation. We'll provide you with hands-on support and guidance. We can do lots of color work to make it fit in with your website, but it's simple. It plugs right in. We do all of the work. The updates are automatic through the pipe. Again, you've got your dedicated account manager in New York that will handle everything with you, as well as an implementation manager. I put here that if you wanted to, I could run into a live demo, but I'm also looking at the clock, seeing we have a nice healthy 15 minutes for Q&A. This is a really simple, I've provided here for you also. Hang on just one sec. Samples of our Lifestyle API and samples of Navigator that you can take a peek at on your own, even though I walked you through some of it. If you wanted to look at it and play around with it, you can absolutely do that on your own. New York Daily News, they have a Best Places website. It's all their entire real estate website is driven by our lifestyle search. And then Exit Realty just launched our lifestyle search on a national level, so you can look at both of those. And then Navigator, oh, that should say G. I apologize. It's bhgrealestate.com and stribling.com are using the Neighborhood Navigator. If you back up, I know I talked about at the beginning the 40 lifestyle criteria that we provide with some definitions. I included them in here as well just for your reference. And again, I'll send this to Deanna and Jen. And that's it for me.
Once again, I appreciate this opportunity, and I appreciate your time. I know everyone's really busy, and most of the people on this call are volunteers and make their living by selling houses and representing clients and not looking at WebEx demos. So I definitely appreciate your time. Just a quick overview who eNeighborhoods is, and mainly our enterprise services group. We do enterprise websites. We provide the data and broker sites for Realogy, which is Century 21, Coldwell Banker, ERA. We also drive Remax.com for Remax International. And we've also done a MLS public website, HomeToFlorida.com, and that'll be part of my demo, so I'll go there in a minute. We also do IDX services. We provide IDX for agents and brokers, data from over 640 MLSs throughout the country. We also have data sources, like we're going to talk about today, our Envoy API, which is neighborhood information. We also have agent marketing tools, CMA, Buyer Tour, Design Center, Envoy Neighborhood Report, where that was the original product eNeighborhoods created, was the Neighborhood Report. We now call Envoy. And where my background comes from was from Wildfire Technologies, which eNeighbors acquired about 7 years ago. And those are MLS search tools, Wildfire 7, and Mercado, which is MLS Alliance, which is combined MLS search. So I thought I was just going to give you a quick overview. Let's go straight to the meat and potatoes. This is HomeToFlorida.com. So I understand you're looking for neighborhood and school information and all kinds of information beyond what an MLS provides. And that's a good call because buyers are spending a lot more time, our market's different now. They're spending a lot more time researching. They want relevant information related to MLS information. So by marrying those two, it helps your agents and brokers serve their customers better and drive leads to them. So there's a couple pieces here. So I just logged into HomeToFlorida.com. This is a production site, and I'm going to click on neighborhood information. and I'm going to put in an address. Maybe 163. Now, all the years that I have been doing demos, I still have a hard time talking and typing at the same time. I can walk and chew gum, but there we go. All right. So I found the property, and I just picked earlier today. I found an address in Winter Park, Florida, and it goes right to demographics. Had I selected Find Schools, it would have gone straight to the School tab, but we can still go there. But I thought I would just show you some pieces with the demographics. Right now, it defaults to the census block. And census block is based on population in a certain area. So a census block is usually right around between 1,500 and 1,800 people. So if it's in a rural area, that census block is bigger, and in a suburban area, of course, it'll be tighter. And at any point, we can zoom. They can zoom to city and county. But let's just stick to census block because that makes the most sense. The census block is a little cleaner than zip codes because zip code wasn't designed for data searching or designed for MLS tools. It was designed to send mail. And a census block is a better definition of here is what the population is for this certain area. So we've got the land area. So like this census block is 0.4 square mile, and the population is 1,600 for this area. The density is 62%. Now, all these things to you, but you're welcome to go to hometoflorida.com and kind of dig into the weeds. But the kinds of information we have is income and age of the population, like percent of average. The median age is 48 years old for the census block, and then the percentage for the different age groups, types of employment, household, married with kids, single with children, things along those lines. Housing. We aggregate the data from deed information, so that's where we got this valuation. So we didn't use MLS data; we used deed information. That we also one of the things that we aggregated in our company, and then population we were just at. Now we click on the second tab, and it's schools. Now the schools will be listed by closest to the address that we had picked, and the clients can do one of two things. They could either click on Winter Park, it pops up, or they can click on the high school. It's like a high school with some information, how many students, the grades. They click on more information, and it has its public, its mascot, the address, the distance from the school. So in many areas, defining school boundaries is just a little risky because the last thing you want to do is have somebody buy a house specifically for the reason to be in that, to go to have their kids go to that school. But this one provides a phone number, so your agent's clients can call that school, or your agent can call that school and say, does this address go to the school? So right here, it's just based on geographic location. So more than likely, that would be the school if it's the closest high school, but it's always good to double check. Climate probably not as important because it's a little warm in June, July, shocker, but beautiful the rest of the year. So that average degree is the high is 72 and the average is 62. But in some locations that's important. But of course we could include that in. The other information that's intriguing is houses of worship, and once again it's important. The comment is that the agent is not pushing for one church or another. We're listing it based on geographic location, and we separate from temple, church, synagogue, and mosque. But at any point, they can just click right on the icon. It says what the name of the church is and a phone number, some information about that church. Okay? And so those are the pieces. And once again, if it's in questions and answers, if we want to go in the weeds, we can do that. You're welcome to go to hometoflorida.com. Hopefully you've written it down already, and you can dig into the weeds. The other piece I wanted to that we're offering is that we're going to offer the data in for your public website, but we're also going to offer it for your MLS system. And the reason why is that we always want to make sure that our real estate professionals have as much or more information than their clients have. So I'm logged into Metroless, Colorado. They're based in Denver, big MLS in Denver, and this is their website. We didn't build it, but they've integrated our data. So I'm going to go click on Easy. Also, my connection's working well. All right. Active. All right, here we go. That was a little painful. I apologize for the delay. So this is their search. This is the search results on their browser-based system, and I click on what they call their sub area, and it opens a new window, and it has the same information that we were just looking at, the same schools, demographics, but it's branded to their MLS. So this can be used a couple ways. One is that if the agent's doing searches and they know that they want to be able to report back the different kinds of schools are available. And we click on private. These are private and public schools. Climate's going to be a little different here than it was in Florida. Let's see, December, the high is 44, and the median is 31, whereas I think in Florida the median was 70. But this would be all branded to your MLS. So the proposal we provided is for both systems. Now, how that will work is that if we can work with your MLS provider, and it could come in if an agent sends a report to their customer, they would also have a link to more information, and so they could send a report to their customer. And then in that report would be a link that would allow them to get the same kind of information that they have here in the search results. So that's what we're providing, is we're thinking that both are available. Now, the other piece that we're also willing to provide, but this might be a little bit more of a rub, is that we have all this information available on a server, so that you could have it integrated in a report. So, I mean, the example I would have would be in our CMA. I'm going to go really quickly to it. This one doesn't have it, but we would be able to provide. We would be able to provide the data in a raw format, so you could integrate it in reports. So you want to maybe put schools over here and neighborhood information over here. Maybe 1 second here. So this is an example of our buyer's tour, but we can provide this with for anybody that wants it. It's part of our system. We find that a lot of MLS vendors aren't interested in doing this deep of integration, but you may want to do this on your website. Just give me 1 second here, and I'll show you the example I have. So here's an example of where there's a picture of the house, little map. The MLS information is right here, but then we have school and neighborhood demographics. So we could work with you, have the server available, and you could do a web call, and we could provide the information based on that address, and you could you could have it fully integrated in the report. So once again, we'll provide it at the level where it's branded to your MLS, and this is an HTML page, and we build it on the fly. Once we built it once, we store it on our server, so it pops up pretty quickly. We'll provide the data in a raw format through an API call, so you could put it deeply integrated into your system. And then also we could provide the data in this format, like on the website, similar to how we have it here in Home to Florida. So you could frame it within. So those are those are all the different formats and ways. I just quickly brought up like the different information we have available in Florida, from restaurants, parks, child daycare centers, athletic clubs, art galleries, bowling alleys, miniature golf, museums, recreational centers, things like that. And we continue to improve this data and add to it. So that's kind of it in a nutshell.
Okay. Well, thank you for showing us this. At this point, are you ready to answer some questions?
Sure.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions at this point?
Are we talking on mute?
Deanna, I have a question.
Okay, go right ahead.
The map service that they use, from what I see, is Google, correct? Or do they use Bing or other mappings?
So we have licenses with both companies, Google and Bing, and with right now with our Envoy, we have the Google, but there is a possibility that we'll go to Bing Maps, but it wouldn't be until 2012. We're still talking to both companies, so I'm just being open and honest. We're talking to both companies. In our public-facing websites and some of the MLS tools we built, we actually have both maps available to the agents, so we have both licenses. But we're starting to find that the Bing maps tend to be more up to date and integrate better, but that decision is not going to be made until fall. But either way, it'll be a good map.
Okay.
And we of course we provide this, the satellite, and then the hybrid, and it zooms in and out. So, they both have their pros and cons. So when we built this application, Google was the best or had the most pros. Bing is, they're quickly they're pretty much caught up, and they might surpass Google Maps. So we're going to have whatever's going to be the best for agents and your agents' customers and clients to use. We'll have that available. Maybe I shouldn't be poo-pooing Metrolist's website, because it looks like it's the internet connection I have in my hotel room that's having some issues. There we go. All right. So I guess it would be we could do a number of things right here. You could slide this over a little bit, have another tab. Neighborhood information, school information. Once I'm just going to do a search really quick, and we could talk about that. Click on a property. So one of the places we could have in the property detail page, you could have a tab, one of the tabs here, or even multiple tabs. School information, the same kinds of, you could have these tabs: demographics, schools, climate, houses of worship, right along with the detailed report, and we could pull it up. You also could, in this report itself, since you have control of your website, you could maybe have it in here, or even have that type of information that we were looking at, like you could have this kind of information, and we're offering both too. So we could have a situation where your MLS would have this kind of format with the branded to your MLS, and have these reports available. And then also you could do web calls and have information that's integrated in your report. So when somebody's at a detail page, well, I've lost my place. Sorry. We got so many things open now. All right. There we go. In your detail page, you could integrate that data in here too as well, or have a tab say click here for more information, or some MLSs have called it prospector, some called it neighborhood finder, things along those lines. So we could do it a number of different ways. We're pretty flexible. That's, I mean, if I was king of the world and told MLSs how it should set up their public-facing website, I would actually do it both ways. I'd have, some data integrated in here so it becomes relevant to making decisions on, beds, bath, square foot, things like that are important, but also what the school's like, what's the neighborhood like with neighborhood demographics, and then, have that little bit of information. It's kind of nice to have, and then have a link out to that HTML page, which would be branded to the MLS, and would have a deeper understanding of that information.